Hello, everyone. My name is Javier Perales. I am a senior strategist at Purpose Lab. And today we're going to be talking about some of the basic concepts of strategic management. This short video, let me start by explaining a little bit about what strategic management is. And for that, we need to better understand what is strategy. Let's take a look at some interesting definitions that some of the guys out there, some renowned names have put out. For example, Michael Porter said, in essence, strategy is about choice, choosing to perform your tasks differently than your rivals, adding value in such a way that it's perceived superior by the public who is receiving it. I find that there are a couple of interesting topics here. For example, we're talking about choice. Choice automatically means that you're deciding to do something, but that you're also deciding to not do something else. So whenever there's a choice, there is both the choice to do something and the choice to leave something without being done. And that's very important. Another interesting concept that Michael Porter touches on his definition is that we are already talking about the way the client perceives us. And there is competition. So how are we going to be working and what type of choices are we going to be going through that our customers, our users are going to be experiencing a better service by choosing themselves to work with us instead of the competition. So we're already talking about a competitive advantage. Let's see another one. Arthur Thompson. An organization strategy consists in establishing a direction by the executive team plus the competitive maneuvers and business focus that it employs to compete successfully, improve its performance, and grow its benefits. Wow, so we're already talking about direction, going from point A to point B. That needs that we know what point A is, where we are starting, what our starting point is, and then where do we want to go. So it is very important in this second definition that we think about the concept of direction, an overall goal that we want to get to. But also Arthur Thompson here, he also says competitive maneuvers. That means that strategy is not static. Strategy needs to evolve, needs to adapt, needs to be able to help us, and again, same concept as with Porter's definition, to compete successfully. So we're already identifying that there is competition out there, and we want to be better by them. In this case, Arthur Thompson also talks about trying to improve or to grow our benefits. Now, let's think about, yes, financial benefits. Many of the companies out there do have a lucrative purpose, but not every company out there is about money. There are companies that look to, for example, I'm thinking hospitals. They try to make health better. Armies, they try to make safety or security, country security better, right? So there are different types of organizations, whatever benefits they're working on, strategy is about how are we going to be reaching that goal. Marcel Planalis and Anna Mooney, strategy is making decisions that set a path and have a long-term impact. Again, we have the same decisions concept. We already talked about choice and making a decision, establishing not doing something else. But we're also talking about the path or the road that we're going to be following throughout and a long-term impact. So we have another important concept about strategy here. Yes, we can think about short-term, but overall strategy, it needs to take us somewhere. Most of the time, that somewhere includes a long-term vision. A lot of in-between goals, a lot of stepping stones, but we do need to have a long-term goal, long-term objective. Let's read this last one by Fred David. Strategic management is defined as the art and science of formulating, implementing, and assessing multidisciplinary decisions that allow the company to achieve its objectives. I also love this one. It is not only a science, but it is an art. And strategic management, it is indeed an art. And it's not only about the planning that is important, because many times when we talk about strategy or when we think about strategy, we think about the planning process that comes with strategy, right? When in reality, the planning process needs to be put together with the execution. And the execution does not happen alone. It does require a multidisciplinary team. And again, it kind of touches on the same points as the previous definition about making decisions that have long-term impact. This is very, very relevant. So we have some common concepts here. We have choice, decision-making, we have competition, we have a customer in mind, we have the concept of evolving. So all of this come into play when we're thinking about what type of actions are we going to be making. So we can think about increasing our sales through different types of projects or activities or strategic initiatives. Whatever decisions we are making, whatever overarching objectives we are trying to achieve, at the end of the day, what it means is that we have a lot of options out there. And out of these options, we need to choose the right ones. We need to choose the ones that are going to be getting us closer to our overall objective, our purpose. So it could be about working closer with the suppliers or with your customers, or working to make your research and development process happens faster. Whatever your ultimate goal is, these actions that we need to take, they're going to be taking us somewhere, and we want to make sure that that somewhere is where we want to be. Remember, a lot of decisions. And also, if you're taking a road, it doesn't mean that you are married to that road. If you see that that road suddenly needs to change, if that's not taking you where you want to go anymore, if the environment has changed, it is viable that you, as a strategic decision, that you decide to adapt and to make some changes as you are going through that road, right? Now, this is a brief introduction of what strategy is, but there are some concepts that every strategy needs to have if we want to think about an effective strategy. So an effective strategy, to start with, adds value. It says using a mixture of resources, capabilities, and resources. So what does value added mean? Well, it depends who you ask. If you have a continuous improvement specialist, it would say it's anything that the customer is willing to pay for. Probably if you ask a marketing specialist, he would say, or she would say, that is something that the client was not expecting. At the end of the day, adds value is something that is relevant for the customer. That is making a valuable experience for the customer. So yes, strategy needs to be customer focused, customer oriented. Also, it is different from the ones used by its competitors. What does this mean? Well, it means that we are thinking, or we need to be thinking about our competitive advantage. How is this going to be making it easier for the clients to know why they should choose us on top of the competition? It actually ties together with the next one. It says it affects a client's buying decision. So why are we different? Why are we better? Why should they choose us and not the competition? If we're thinking about competitive advantage and we want to make sure that this competitive advantage is sustainable over time, then we need to also make sure that our strategy is something that is hard, or includes projects and initiatives that are hard to imitate by the competition. Sometimes, let me tell you, sometimes the hardest thing to imitate by the competition is organizational structure, is speed in decision-making, is less bureaucracy. Those things are not always easy to imitate by other companies. And very, very relevant, it is flexible and it adjusts according with the environment. We had already mentioned this briefly. You are not married to your strategy. If something changes, you need to be able to adapt. So we could say that we are performing some kind of tests with the competition. One, we want to make sure, sorry, not with the competition, with the strategy. One, we want to make sure that this strategy that we're thinking of, this series of projects, plans, objectives, and all of these concepts that are getting us closer to achieving our purpose, that they are giving us, or they are all aligned to giving our organization a competitive advantage, and more so, a sustainable competitive advantage. That's very relevant. Secondly, that your strategy is continuously evolving. Strategy is not fixed. So if the environment changes, if the competition changes, if your customer requirements change, then you also need, your strategy needs to adapt together with it, with your organization. You need to be fast. Of course, both of these things need, or imply, that you also need to be able to measure what's happening. And that's something that's not written down here, but that's a third test that we always want to perform on our strategy. So is it giving us a competitive advantage? Number one. Is it able to evolve? Are we able to measure it, to properly measure it, or is it linked to organization's performance? Any strategy, whatever that is, will need the right dose of creativity to be able to put together. It says here, game-changing strategies come from creative thinking. So lateral thinking, not your straightforward thinking, but you need to unplug one side of your brain, plug the other one, think differently, think other concepts. We have different moments throughout our workshops and our trainings where we give you a series of tools and initiatives where you can actually help yourself, help your teams, and help your brain come up with some innovative ideas. And there are different ways to engage in this creative thinking exercises. At the end of the day, and I said this already, strategy is both about the proper planning, the smart strategy, plus the proper execution. Both of them will be translated into good management of the strategy. So planning is only half of it. Execution is also very important. You need to be execution ready. Change management, culturally speaking, that's all very relevant if you really want to harvest the actual benefits from strategic management. So if you're properly being able to monitor your results, to avoid losses, to improve your performance, to coordinate better within the organization, all of these things that you're hearing on screen that you're seeing here, they will help your company to properly navigate these waters and keep on float, not only just hanging in there, but actually being better. So stay tuned if you want to continue listening. Next time, we'll talk about the strategic management roadmap and what are the actual stages that we go through when going through a strategic management process. Thank you. Bye-bye.